The marble staircase gleamed beneath the academy lights, polished so clean it could have been a mirror for arrogance. Voices echoed down the corridor, young, careless, and proud, the kind of laughter that came from cadets who hadn't yet learned what war takes from people. Cadet Captain Emily Rain stood at the top of the stairs, a folder tucked under her arm. Her uniform was spotless, her hair tied in a severe knot, her eyes quiet but alert. She didn't talk much, and that silence had earned her the wrong kind of attention. "Look who thinks she owns the place," one of them muttered from behind. 3 cadets, all younger, all brimming with a kind of confidence that came from privilege rather than earned respect. Miller, Grant, and Ricks, sons of senior officers, they walked like the academy was their inheritance. Emily didn't turn. "Morning, cadets," she said, voice calm, clipped, professional. Miller's smirk widened. "You forget your manners, Captain. Don't you salute your future commanders?" She glanced over her shoulder. "Command isn't a birthright," she said softly. "It's a burden, one I doubt you're ready to carry." The words stung. Grant stepped forward, trying to laugh it off. "You hear that, boys? The captain's giving us philosophy lessons." Ricks leaned on the railing, his grin mean. "Maybe she needs to learn what happens when she forgets her place." Before Emily could react, Miller's hand shoved her shoulder. It was supposed to be a joke. It wasn't. Her heel slipped. The world spun. Marble blurred into white streaks. Her body hit the steps hard, tumbling, crashing until she landed at the bottom with a sharp, hollow sound. The folder scattered across the floor, papers fluttering like wounded birds. For a heartbeat, the hallway was silent. Then Miller's breathless whisper, She'll be fine, come on." The 3 ran, their laughter, forced, nervous, faded as they disappeared around the corner. A janitor in the shadows dropped his broom. He rushed down, knees aching, hands shaking. Miss Rain, Miss Rain." She stirred, face pale, a trickle of blood at her temple. "I'm fine," she whispered, sitting up slowly. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "Fine, you fell 3 flights." She pressed her palm to her ribs, hiding the pain. "Don't report this, ma'am." Her gaze hardened. "Not yet. Some lessons can't be taught with paperwork." She stood, adjusted her uniform, and walked away. Her limp was barely visible, but it was there. By afternoon, the academy buzzed with rumors. Some said she'd slipped. Others whispered someone pushed her. Nobody knew the truth, and those who did kept their mouths shut. But Emily Rain didn't speak a word. She showed up at the evening drill as if nothing had happened. The cut above her eyebrow was barely stitched, her posture still perfect. The cadets stared as she walked past them to the center of the training yard. "Instructor absent." She asked an aide. "Yes, ma'am, he's still in debrief." "Then I'll lead." The whistle hung around her neck, glinted under the floodlights. All units ready positions. The recruits snapped to formation, uncertain. Miller, Grant, and Ricks stood in the 3rd row, trying not to look at her. "Today's lesson," Emily said, voice level, "is reaction under stress." The whistle blew. What followed wasn't training. It was a reckoning. She moved through the drills with surgical precision, pushing them harder, faster, longer. Every order was clean. Every command left no room for arrogance. When Miller lagged, she was there beside him, silent, relentless. "Keep up, cadet," she said, her tone low enough for only him to hear. "Falling behind can get you killed." By the 5th round, sweat poured down their faces. The recruits were shaking, gasping, and still she didn't stop. When the drill finally ended, they collapsed in the dirt, lungs burning. Emily looked down at them, unblinking. "Respect isn't spoken." She said, "It's earned. Remember that before you touch another soldier again." Grant opened his mouth to speak, but she walked away before the words could form. At dusk, 3 black cars rolled through the academy gates. The guards stiffened, saluting as the doors opened. General O'Neill, General Fraser, General Torres. Their stars glinted under the setting sun, their faces carved with the kind of age that only decades of command could give. They marched straight toward the parade ground where Emily stood, her uniform dust, streaked but still pristine. The cadets scattered. Miller and his friends froze where they stood. Lieutenant Commander Rain, O'Neill said as he approached, and every head in the yard snapped up at the title. Lieutenant Commander, the whispers rippled like wildfire. Rain saluted sharply. Sir, Fraser's eyes swept the formation. 3 cadets assaulted a decorated SEAL intelligence officer. We have their names. Miller's throat closed. Sir, we didn't know. You didn't care. Torres interrupted, and that's worse. The silence that followed was suffocating. O'Neill turned to Emily. You could have reported them. Why didn't you? She looked toward the horizon, where the sun burned over the training field. Because they needed to understand, sir. Consequences aren't learned through reports. They're learned through reality. The generals exchanged glances. Then O'Neill nodded to the guards. Lock down the base. Effective immediately. Orders rippled outward. Sirens blared, every entrance sealed. The base that had once mocked her now froze under her shadow. Miller's voice cracked. Sir, please. Torres turned to him. You'll have time to reflect in confinement. If you're lucky, you'll still graduate, but you'll never forget this day. The guards escorted the 3 away, their boots echoing in the sudden silence. O'Neill faced Emily again. You did what most wouldn't. You led by example. I did what was necessary, she replied. He studied her a moment longer. We could use that kind of thinking again. You ever consider coming back to the field? Her lips curved faintly. Every day, sir, he nodded once. Then maybe it's time we stop wasting legends behind desks. That night, the academy was quiet. The lockdown lights glowed red through the dorm windows. In her quarters, Emily sat on the edge of her bed, untying her boots slowly. The ache in her ribs flared with every breath, but her expression stayed calm. She took a small photograph from her locker, her SEAL team, all smiles, arms around each other, years before the explosion that changed everything. Her thumb brushed over their faces. You'd laugh if you saw me now. She whispered. Outside, thunder rolled across the night sky. In another room, Miller stared at the ceiling of the holding area, guilt eating through him. His arrogance had evaporated, leaving something raw and unfamiliar behind respect. He'd never forget her words. Respect isn't spoken, it's earned. The next morning, the lockdown lifted. Cadets lined the parade ground as the generals departed. Emily walked past the formation, quiet, unreadable. But this time every head turned toward her, not in mockery, but in reverence. No one spoke, no one dared. And when she reached the staircase where she'd fallen the day before, she paused, looking up at the shining marble. A small smile touched her lips. Some scars never fade, but some become armor, because she hadn't just stood up after the fall. She'd made the entire base stand still. From that day forward, every cadet who walked those halls knew the story. The one about the woman they pushed down the stairs, and the 3 generals who locked down the base because of her. Because sometimes the quiet ones are the ones you should fear the most, the ones who have already survived battles you can't imagine. And when the wrong people test them, the entire system learns what respect really means.